The Galactic Empire thought they could wipe out humanity without consequences. 10 million lives were snuffed out, leaving nothing but silence and ashes. But they didn't know one thing: humans never forgive, and humans never forget. What came next would make the galaxy tremble. Hit that subscribe button and watch how humanity turned vengeance into legend. Comment if you're ready for the reckoning.
The Galactic Empire believed it had achieved perfection in control, a flawless dominion over countless systems, yet it underestimated humanity's defiance. 10 million lives extinguished in an instant, entire worlds reduced to ash, cities swallowed by firestorms, oceans boiling under orbital bombardment. Mothers clutched lifeless children, fathers tried in vain to shield families, but nothing could stop the Empire's mechanical efficiency. Silence followed the screams, a cold emptiness stretching across the planets, as if the galaxy itself mourned. They had expected fear, submission, compliance. But what the Empire did not account for was the ember of human resilience, the refusal of a species to be erased, the stubborn defiance that had survived every catastrophe on Earth and would now endure across the stars. In the smoldering ruins, small groups of survivors emerged, their eyes carrying grief, but also a fire that no weapon could snuff. They scavenged remnants of fallen civilizations, salvaging technology, memories, anything that could preserve their heritage and fuel their vengeance. In hidden corners of shattered cities, beneath ruins of crumbled towers, human minds began to plot not for survival alone, but for justice. The massacre was a message meant to terrify, meant to break the spirit of an entire species, yet it became the spark for something far greater. From the ashes, humans remembered who they were, not victims but warriors, innovators, survivors. Their grief transformed into strategy, their fear sharpened into determination. Every memory of loss became a lesson in preparation. Every haunting echo of screams became a resolve to strike back with a force the galaxy had never imagined. The Empire had assumed that erasing 10 million lives would be enough to quell humanity's spirit, but it only unified those left behind. Across distant planets, humans began communicating in secret, networks forming among the scattered survivors, sharing information, technology, and tactical insights. Every detail about the Empire's fleets, defenses, and weaknesses was meticulously catalogued. What was intended to annihilate humanity instead became the blueprint for its rebirth, a rebirth defined not by suffering alone, but by cunning, precision, and unstoppable resolve. Among the survivors were leaders who had witnessed the horrors firsthand, strategists who had seen cities fall and learned from every error, and engineers who transformed destroyed factories into laboratories for new weapons. Humanity's creativity surged under the weight of loss. Ships that once transported civilians were rebuilt into stealth vessels, capable of navigating uncharted space without detection. AI systems salvaged from obliterated colonies were rewired, programmed with tactics the Empire would never predict, learning at speeds no human mind alone could achieve. They refined strategies that combined guerrilla warfare, precision strikes, and psychological operations designed to shatter the alien command's confidence. Every survivor contributed. Scientists, medics, pilots, and civilians with knowledge of the galaxy's terrain became soldiers in a silent but relentless campaign of preparation. The air was thick with purpose, as every heartbeat pulsed with memory of those lost, a living tribute driving humans toward vengeance that was as inevitable as the rising sun. Even as the Empire paraded its triumph, broadcasting the annihilation as proof of dominance, humans were quietly reclaiming agency. Communications once cut off were re-established through covert channels, encrypted signals bouncing between star systems, carrying the whispers of a coming reckoning. Children who had survived the attacks were trained not merely in survival but in tactics, technology, and resilience, ensuring that the next generation would be prepared to defend what remained and reclaim what was stolen. Every human was given a role, every skill honed, every weakness examined and transformed into strength. The Empire had assumed the war was over, that humanity had been broken beyond repair, but the survivors understood something the Empire could never anticipate. The mind of a human, driven by loss and righteous fury, could become the deadliest weapon in the galaxy. Plans took shape with cold precision. Humans mapped every Imperial outpost, studied fleet movements, and simulated battles against impossible odds. They understood that direct confrontation would be suicidal, so they focused on subtlety, deception, and exploiting the arrogance of their enemies. The firestorm that had destroyed human worlds now served as a lesson in the Empire's confidence. It had shown its hand, revealed its arrogance, and in doing so, exposed vulnerabilities only humans could exploit. Every failed evacuation, Every abandoned settlement, every scarred planet became a strategic asset. Humans learned to move unseen, strike where the enemy was weakest, and vanish before retaliation could arrive. With each passing day, humanity's silent networks grew, connecting disparate survivors into a cohesive force capable of reshaping the galaxy's balance of power. Even amidst grief, humor, courage, and camaraderie persisted. Small acts of defiance, a hidden flag raised on a destroyed planet, a covert message sent into imperial space, reminded humans of their identity and unity. These moments became legends among the survivors, symbols that loss had not conquered them. The more the Empire celebrated its supposed victory, the more humanity adapted, proving that no amount of destruction could extinguish the essence of what made them human: the ability to endure, to learn, to rise, and to strike back with calculated precision. The survivors became scholars of war, architects of vengeance, and engineers of fear for those who had thought humanity would bow. Finally, after years of preparation and secret consolidation, humanity's leaders convened and declared what every survivor had already understood: Operation Alien Extinct. It was not a name born of arrogance, but of necessity, a promise that the atrocities inflicted upon 10 million innocent lives would not go unanswered. Each human understood their purpose, each mission a tribute to those lost, each tactical maneuver a step toward justice. Across the galaxy, a silent promise spread through the shadows. The humans who had been nearly wiped out were returning, not as victims but as hunters, as legends, as a force the Empire could neither predict nor survive. The stage was set, the players ready, and humanity's fury would not rest until the scales had been balanced and the galaxy had learned, in no uncertain terms, that to underestimate humans was a fatal mistake. From the ruins of destroyed worlds, humans began to rise not merely as survivors, but as architects of a new power. Hidden in the shadows of forgotten planets, beneath the craters of annihilated cities, and within deep subterranean bunkers, they transformed despair into strategy. Every piece of salvaged technology became a cornerstone of their resurgence. Spacecraft once designed for transport were reconstructed into vessels of stealth and devastation, capable of moving unseen through the void. Computers and AI systems scavenged from decimated colonies were rewritten and reprogrammed, learning to predict enemy maneuvers and simulate battles across countless scenarios. Humanity was no longer merely responding to the Empire, they were preparing to outthink it entirely, converting tragedy into tactical advantage. The collective knowledge of 10 million lost lives fueled innovation, as engineers, scientists, and strategists worked tirelessly to perfect weapons and systems that could confront an entire empire with precision, speed, and overwhelming impact. Training began immediately, not just for soldiers, but for every human capable of contributing to the campaign. Young adults who had grown up amidst chaos learned to operate advanced machinery, manage fleets, and strategize in multidimensional battles. Pilots trained in zero-gravity simulators, learning to maneuver with agility beyond the Empire's expectation. Engineers and programmers created adaptive AI drones, capable of functioning autonomously yet integrating seamlessly with human command. They studied every tactic the Empire had employed against them, analyzing flaws and imagining countermeasures. Every setback experienced during the massacre became a lesson, every mistake an opportunity to improve. Humanity's approach was systematic, meticulous, and relentless, blending emotional drive with intellectual mastery. No decision was made without considering both its immediate effect and its long-term impact across multiple star systems. Communication between human enclaves became both an art and a science. In a galaxy where the Empire monitored nearly all transmissions, humans invented methods of secure, encrypted contact that were virtually untraceable. Data packets bounced through hidden relays, passed between planets, and infiltrated communication grids the Empire believed secure. Strategists shared intelligence on fleet movements, planetary defenses, and supply chains, building a mental map of the Empire's vulnerabilities. Human ingenuity turned scarcity into strength. Materials salvaged from destroyed cities were repurposed into armor, weapons, and infrastructure. Factories that once produced consumer goods were converted into laboratories for bioengineering and cybernetics, enhancing human capabilities in ways the Empire would never anticipate. Every device, every circuit, every program became part of a silent but unstoppable arsenal designed for the eventual reckoning. Psychological conditioning was equally rigorous. Survivors were trained to suppress fear, to channel grief into determination, and to anticipate the Empire's strategies without hesitation. Children were raised not only with survival skills but with a deep understanding of tactics, engineering, and the necessity of precision in warfare. Mental resilience became a weapon as vital as any gun or ship. Humans rehearsed every scenario, simulated attacks and counterattacks, and prepared for moments when a single decision could determine the fate of a planet. Even in the absence of hope, they learned to act decisively, trusting in the combination of human intuition and calculated analysis. Every heartbeat carried purpose. Every thought sharpened toward the day when vengeance would be more than aspiration, it would be execution. Humans also mastered the art of stealth and unpredictability. The Empire had believed in the invincibility of its fleets, in the inevitability of its dominance, but humans learned to exploit arrogance. Ships were built for speed and concealment, capable of slipping through asteroid fields and vanishing into the shadows of gas giants. Drones were programmed to mimic natural phenomena, passing undetected until the moment of strike. Operations were designed to fracture Imperial command, striking at multiple points simultaneously to create confusion and panic. Humans combined strategy with deception, exploiting every known weakness while inventing new tactics the Empire could not anticipate. Every maneuver was designed to erode confidence, to destabilize control, and to instill the first seeds of fear in an empire that had believed itself untouchable. Even beyond technology, humans embraced the lessons of adaptability. Plans were never rigid. Every strategy contained contingencies, every fleet capable of independent operation. Small groups of human operatives could improvise with lethal efficiency, transforming limited resources into decisive outcomes. Scouts and spies gathered intelligence from within enemy ranks, learning not just their movements but their culture, weaknesses, and patterns of overconfidence. Humans turned information into a weapon, precision into a doctrine, and collaboration into an art form. Every survivor had a role, every role had purpose, and every action contributed to a web of preparation that stretched across light years. The galaxy itself became the training ground, every planet, asteroid belt, and derelict station a lesson in strategy, resourcefulness, and the unstoppable drive of a species pushed to the brink. The culmination of these preparations was Operation Alien Extinct, a plan so intricate that it could not fail without the Empire's cooperation. Every human, from engineer to pilot, from strategist to scout, understood the mission's gravity. They were not acting out of hatred alone, but in remembrance of those who had perished, honoring 10 million lives with every calculated step. Simulations had been run, contingencies tested, and resources stockpiled. The galaxy had assumed humanity's defeat was permanent, that survivors would scatter and fade into insignificance, yet here they were, united, disciplined, and prepared for the first strike that would awaken the fear the Empire had once inflicted. Finally, whispers of human resurgence began to reach the edges of Imperial space. Alien observers reported anomalies, fleets appearing without warning, systems suddenly fortified, communications that seemed impossible to intercept. Confidence wavered within the Empire's ranks. The arrogance that had fueled mass extermination was beginning to crack under the weight of human innovation. Each day of preparation, each hidden laboratory, each vessel perfected in silence brought humanity closer to a reckoning that no amount of imperial hubris could prevent. Every hidden weapon, every trained soldier, every calculated maneuver became a thread in the tapestry of vengeance. The galaxy had witnessed humanity's suffering, but it had yet to see humanity's response. The survivors, once shadows of their former civilization, now moved with purpose, precision, and the inevitability of a force that would strike with devastating clarity. Operation Alien Extinct was no longer a plan, it was a promise, and the countdown had already begun. Humanity emerged from the shadows with the precision of a storm and the silence of death. Fleets once hidden in distant star clusters accelerated into imperial space, appearing where no enemy expected. The first strikes were surgical, supply lines severed, command outposts erased, communication hubs destroyed. The Empire, confident in its invincibility, barely noticed the first waves, dismissing them as anomalies, until entire fleets vanished in moments, leaving only debris and silence in their wake. Humans had transformed tragedy into tactical brilliance, using every lesson from the massacre to exploit the arrogance of an enemy who had believed annihilation was enough. Every move was calculated, every strike designed to maximize impact while minimizing exposure. The galaxy watched in disbelief as humans, the species they had tried to erase, began to rewrite the rules of engagement with a cunning no one had anticipated. Alien commanders struggled to comprehend the sudden onslaught. Their scanners reported empty sectors, supply convoys destroyed before they could reach safety, and entire planetary defenses neutralized with precision strikes that seemed impossible. Panic rippled through their ranks as human ships struck at multiple points simultaneously, collapsing entire logistical networks in a matter of hours. Stealth drones infiltrated Imperial systems, bypassing security protocols, and delivering chaos from within. The human strategy was not merely destruction, it was the orchestration of fear, a psychological weapon that struck at the very core of the Empire's arrogance. Every victory was amplified, each loss inflicted upon the enemy a reminder that humanity was no longer a species to be underestimated. On planets where the Empire had established occupation forces, human operatives moved with lethal efficiency. Reconnaissance teams bypassed patrols, neutralizing targets with precision and disappearing into shadows. Entire garrisons were left in disarray, their chains of command shattered before reinforcements could arrive. Alien soldiers who had believed themselves unstoppable now faced an enemy that anticipated every maneuver, a species that transformed desperation into genius. Humanity's adaptability was unparalleled. Where one strategy failed, 10 more were ready to replace it. Their attacks combined the ingenuity of their engineers with the intuition of their warriors, creating outcomes that no simulation could predict. In every corner of the Empire, whispers spread of fleets being annihilated before they could respond, of planets liberated without a single civilian casualty, and of a species that fought not out of malice but out of necessity and honor. The humans' technological superiority, hidden during years of preparation, became a decisive advantage. Ships that could vanish from sensors appeared in unexpected sectors, striking with weapons designed to incapacitate or destroy with minimal warning. AI-controlled drones operated with autonomy and intelligence, coordinating attacks across light years without direct oversight. Adaptive shields and countermeasures rendered most Imperial weapons ineffective, while human ingenuity turned enemy technology against its own creators. Every victory reinforced their confidence, every loss of alien life a calculated step toward restoring balance for the 10 million who had perished. The Empire had assumed humans would retaliate slowly, cautiously, but what they faced was not recklessness. It was precision, patience, and a meticulous understanding of every vulnerability the Empire had revealed. Communication networks intercepted by alien intelligence revealed confusion and fear. Humans exploited these weaknesses ruthlessly, striking in ways that left Imperial leaders questioning their every decision. Entire fleets were lured into traps, only to be destroyed by coordinated strikes from multiple directions. Planets considered secure became graveyards as humans infiltrated defenses from unexpected angles. Psychological warfare became an extension of technology. Symbols of human vengeance appeared on destroyed ships and crippled stations, reminding the Empire of the price of underestimating those they had tried to annihilate. Every act of destruction was deliberate, every message encoded with meaning. Humanity remembers, humanity acts, humanity prevails. Even as the Empire scrambled to respond, humans maintained discipline and organization. Small groups operated independently yet harmoniously, each aware of the larger strategy while executing precise missions. Their adaptability made them unpredictable, their coordination made them unstoppable. Alien fleets that once imposed fear now fled in chaos, their overconfidence shattered, their tactics ineffective against a species that had studied every weakness and turned it into strength. The galaxy itself seemed to bend under humanity's influence, as systems liberated from Imperial control began aiding human forces, providing intelligence, resources, and safe passage. What was once thought impossible, the complete reversal of fortune for a decimated species, was now reality. The human assault did not stop at military targets. Strategic strikes targeted the Empire's infrastructure, crippling production and logistics, forcing alien commanders into reactive positions. Every victory increased the momentum of the human campaign, spreading fear through the ranks and morale through liberated systems. Entire planets whispered of human legends, of survivors who had trained in secret, of weapons that seemed impossible, and of a species whose resilience could not be measured in numbers alone. The Empire, once a symbol of unchallenged dominance, faced the undeniable truth: their greatest mistake had been underestimating humans. Every destroyed outpost, every crippled fleet, and every liberated planet was a testament to a species that had refused extinction and transformed grief into unstoppable power. In the midst of battle, human ingenuity extended beyond combat. Logistics, medicine, and strategy networks ensured that no resource was wasted, no life lost unnecessarily, and no opportunity ignored. AI systems coordinated supply chains, repaired ships mid-flight, and rerouted attacks with precision unmatchable by any alien calculation. Humans moved like a single organism, synchronized across light years, with each individual action contributing to a larger, inevitable outcome. The Empire's arrogance had blinded them to a simple truth: humans learned, adapted, and overcame in ways no technology or weapon could anticipate. As entire Imperial fleets fell, the psychological impact rippled across command structures. Alien leaders, accustomed to obedience and fear, faced humans who were not only capable but relentless, intelligent, and strategic. The Empire had waged war expecting obedience or surrender. Instead, it met vengeance, and the scale was unprecedented. Human strategy was not random retaliation but precise, orchestrated retribution. Each strike a calculated tribute to the millions lost, each maneuver an assertion of supremacy that could not be ignored. The galaxy now witnessed the undeniable fact: humanity had transformed from hunted to hunter, from victim to apex predator, and the consequences would be irreversible. By the time the first major Imperial fleets were entirely obliterated, humans had established dominance in multiple star systems. Every victory bolstered morale, every liberated planet added resources, and every Imperial failure increased the legend of humanity. Across the galaxy, whispers of human power grew into rumors, rumors into dread, and dread into panic. The species that the Empire had attempted to erase had returned not just to fight, but to redefine the balance of power, to assert that no atrocity, no massacre, no arrogance could ever extinguish the human spirit. Humanity's retaliation was absolute, precise, and unstoppable, a reckoning that had only just begun, and one the Empire would never survive unscathed. The galaxy trembled as humans solidified control over systems the Empire had long considered unassailable. Entire fleets lay in ruins, orbital stations reduced to debris, and the symbols of imperial arrogance were replaced by the quiet dominance of human ingenuity. Humanity had struck with precision, vengeance, and unyielding determination, and now the remnants of the Empire faced the undeniable truth: they had been outmatched by a species they had once believed insignificant. Across the liberated worlds, humans coordinated reconstruction, repairing infrastructure, restoring communication networks, and establishing systems capable of sustaining life without imperial interference. Every liberated planet bore the mark of human resolve, a testament that those who had suffered unimaginable loss could rebuild stronger, wiser, and more relentless than ever before. Alien leaders convened in panic, their arrogance shattered, their strategies failing against tactics they could neither predict nor counter. Across the Empire, whispers of fear spread through soldiers and bureaucrats alike. Entire sectors had fallen with minimal resistance, their populations freed or shielded by humans who combined force with mercy. The 10 million lives lost in the massacre had become a catalyst, fueling a human campaign that was as strategic as it was brutal. Yet in their triumph, humans displayed a restraint and honor that the Empire had never expected. Civilian populations were spared, key infrastructures preserved, and systems liberated rather than destroyed, demonstrating a moral and strategic superiority the aliens could neither comprehend nor replicate. The galaxy began to realize that humanity's strength was not solely in firepower, but in intellect, resilience, and an unbreakable moral compass. Every move in the final stages of Operation Alien Extinct reinforced humanity's dominance. Imperial fleets attempting regroup and counterattack were met with coordinated precision strikes, outmaneuvered at every turn. Strategic command centers were neutralized not through brute force alone but through deception, infiltration, and manipulation, leaving alien leadership paralyzed. Human forces moved with a clarity of purpose born from years of preparation, turning what had once seemed impossible into undeniable reality. The Empire's networks of control collapsed as humans disrupted supply lines, communication grids, and fleet coordination. Every calculated maneuver sent a clear message across the galaxy: humanity was no longer a subject to control, a target to eliminate, or a species to underestimate. They were the apex force, the reckoning that had been silently building in the shadows, now fully unleashed. Liberated worlds celebrated quietly, aware that their freedom was earned through the courage, ingenuity, and sacrifice of humanity. Across liberated systems, human operatives established governance, security, and communication networks that ensured stability while maintaining the momentum of expansion against remaining imperial forces. The survivors of the massacre, once scattered and grieving, now held positions of leadership, guiding planets and populations with a combination of empathy and unyielding authority. Every action reinforced the legend of humanity, not as conquerors in the traditional sense, but as a species capable of immense power balanced by honor and calculated mercy. The Empire's legacy of fear and oppression had been replaced by a new order, one in which humans set the rules, and every civilization would remember the consequences of underestimating them. The psychological impact on the remnants of the empire was immediate and devastating. Panic and confusion reigned in command centers as fleet after fleet failed to respond effectively, caught in a cycle of destruction orchestrated with human ingenuity. Alien soldiers, previously confident in their superiority, now questioned every decision, every tactic, every assumption. Commanders realized too late that the humans they had tried to annihilate were not only stronger, faster, and smarter, but also more resilient than any simulation or strategy could anticipate. Every victory reinforced the humans' reputation as unstoppable, a species forged in tragedy, hardened by loss, and perfected through preparation. The Empire's arrogance, which had enabled the massacre of 10 million humans, now became its undoing. Fear replaced confidence, hesitation replaced certainty, and in its wake humanity advanced steadily, decisively, and without mercy for those who had provoked it. As the final stages of Operation Alien Extinct unfolded, humans demonstrated their ability to balance vengeance with justice. Alien populations that had not participated in atrocities were spared, offered protection and aid, while those responsible for massacres faced unavoidable consequences. Strategic strikes were precise, targeting only those who had perpetuated suffering, while infrastructure necessary for civilian survival remained intact. Humanity's response was a demonstration of calculated supremacy, a species that could destroy without hesitation, yet choose mercy when it served the greater purpose. Across the galaxy, tales spread of humans who had reclaimed entire star systems, annihilated imperial fleets, and liberated oppressed populations, all while maintaining a level of honor the Empire could never understand. These stories became legend, a warning and inspiration that resonated across light years. Every system conquered or liberated reinforced the inevitability of humanity's dominance. Alien leadership attempted last-minute strategies, desperate to regain control, but human forces anticipated every maneuver, striking with precision and efficiency that left no room for error. Networks of intelligence, communication, and logistics ensured that no human effort was wasted, no opportunity ignored, and no victory incomplete. Each action carried meaning, honoring the 10 million lives lost and ensuring that the sacrifices of the past would shape the destiny of the galaxy. Every liberated planet, every destroyed fleet, and every surviving human contributed to a legacy that would redefine the balance of power for generations. Humanity had not simply survived, it had risen to the apex, proving that no atrocity could erase a species determined to endure and triumph. Finally, with the Empire in disarray and its forces scattered, humanity sent a galaxy-wide declaration, a warning, a promise, and a testament to their resilience. The massacre of 10 million humans had not broken them, it had forged them into legends, into a force capable of absolute dominance. The galaxy had witnessed a species rise from near extinction to reclaim its place, not as subjugated survivors, but as apex predators who combined intelligence, innovation, strategy, and morality. Operation Alien Extinct was complete, leaving a legacy that no empire could ignore. Civilizations across the stars would remember the day humanity returned, a species underestimated at their peril, and a species that ensured its enemies never forgot the cost of arrogance. The humans who had been hunted, who had been massacred, who had been silenced, now ruled the narrative of the galaxy, their vengeance precise, their honor intact, and their legend eternal.